Hello everyone and welcome back to another video here on Sam's Crafted Castle, and today we are doing the follow-up video to my live that happened last week Monday. I made those two cards that I just showed you, and you also saw the picture at the beginning, using the almost retired Gina Designs Cheerful Garden Kit. It's only going to be around for a little while longer because their next release should be coming up soon. So I've linked it down in the description below. It's the only thing that's linked down there. I didn't do a very good supply list this time, I'm not going to lie to you guys. But anyway, I'm getting off track. I did that live, and I had several cards planned, and I've been really trying to keep them to only about an hour and a half, to the best of my abilities. Like between an hour and a half is my ideal sort of timeline for them. And I planned way too many cards. I planned 5 cards for that live, and I finished 2. So I mentioned in the live that I would go back and film a follow-up video with the other 3 cards in it, and that is this video. And using the rest of the products in the kit too. If I counted correctly, I did succeed in using every single product in this kit except for technically one of the die sets. But in my brain, stamps and die sets are kind of like the same product. Like, you can't really use one without the other to a degree. You can use a stamp set without a die set, but you can't really use a die set without a stamp set. So I kind of count them as the same like product. So by my definition and my rules, I used everything in this kit. So from when you're watching this, you probably have maybe like a week or two, because it's the end of February, and that's when the Gina Design releases usually are. So you probably have like a little bit of time to still get this as a kit, which I highly recommend you do, just because it's like so full of stuff if it's something you're interested in. And if it's not your thing, then I mean, that's cool. Not everything is for everyone. Anyway, I should talk about what I'm doing. So this is me using, technically this was the second and third card I had on my list to make during the live. I ended up skipping it just because of time and went with one of the easier card ideas that I had that wouldn't take as long to do for my second card, because my first card took quite a while. And this is using what is the name of this? I have it in front of me. One second. The Cheerful Flowers layering stencil, which comes as part of the Cheerful Flowers like embossing folder set, the 3D embossing folder set. It has the embossing folder, the stencil, and the die set that come with it. And I'm just using the stencil by itself. I'm not using the embossing folder. I'm gonna use the embossing folder in a minute, but I'm not using it for this. I thought about using them together, because obviously that's like the intention, and I guess this is another one of those die sets that like technically I didn't use this die set, but again, I kind of count it as sort of like part of the stamp set. There is a stamp set that goes with this as well, as part of the stamp set, or like the embossing folder stencil, and I don't really count it as its own separate thing. So I am just using the stencil to do this, and I don't do anything really crazy at this point. In a little bit here, I'm going to do something kind of crazy. Right now, I'm going to do something kind of crazy, apparently. So I didn't know what I wanted to do for the centers, and my first instinct was to do them yellow, because that's just what I think of for flower centers. But I knew if I used a regular yellow ink, it was going to turn green, because yellow and blue, when you mix them, they make green. So I didn't want the centers to be green, though. I wanted them to be yellow, and I could have done gold very easily, because I have a couple gold pastes and things like that. But I couldn't do like yellow very easily. So I thought about it a little bit more, and I was like, well, what else could I do? And I ended up deciding to try doing them white. So I have this paper pouncer and my white ink cube, and I don't end up staying with this, and I'm going to say that in a minute, but since I'm doing this on screen right now, I wanted to talk about for a minute, like, pigment inks, you always want to use something more like these paper pouncers, or like, I call them the old school blenders, like the old they're still available. like the Tim Holtz blenders. I recommend using those with your pigment inks more than your brushes. It works so much better and you'll be so much happier with it, I promise. These paper pouncers for white pigment inks or whatever color pigment inks you have make life so much easier. So anyway, so I did the centers with the white, and I at first I was like content with it, but the more I looked at it and the more I worked on other things, and especially once I kind of added this other blue, I was like, it's just not doing it for me. So I am gonna do something else, and I wanted to do some kind of like white paste situation. And I think I've mentioned this in other videos. I'm not always the best about using my paste in a timely manner, which means it tends to go bad kind of quickly for me. Um, and so I didn't have any like white, regular like solid white paste in my stash. I have clear glitter, I have gold, I have pink, I have blue, I guess I could have used this blue solar paste. That actually would have been really cool, but I didn't think about that till literally right this second. But I could have done that. That would have made like kind of a cool effect. But either way, I had gotten this Hero Arts wax. I forget what it's called, and in a crop and crate kit, and it's like a pearly white color, and I was like, that'll work. Um, it was on its last legs, so it was kind of probably the last time I'm really gonna be able to use it. It's gonna go before the next time I get around to using it, I think. But I mean, I kept it. Let's see what happens, right? And again, pastes do eventually dry out. You do gotta use them. They will go bad if you don't use them. And I'm just awful at using them. I've gotten better though. I have gotten a lot better. I will say that. But I used my finger because that was the easiest way to get it just in the centers, and it worked out great. It was perfect, and it did exactly what I wanted it to do. And so that's all that matters. And I just think it makes the centers stand out a little bit more. They just got a little bit lost, and I probably could have if I would have taken a little more time and like layered more ink, it probably would have been okay with like the pigment. It would have gotten where I wanted to eventually. I just didn't have that kind of time, and it kind of came down to part of the reason I had decided not to do the paste was because I didn't want to wait for it to dry, and then I realized that waiting for the paste to dry was more time efficient with the time that I had to work on this, than using the pigment ink, because the paste took less active time. Like I could put it on and let it dry. So yeah. So then I just did the 3D embossing folder, and the stencil does have. I think I showed you briefly if you were paying very close attention while I was talking about paste. Still, if I did show you that the stencil does have little lines on it, like a little etched line to help you line up with the embossing folder. If that's what if you want to stencil the embossing folder. I really just wanted to go with the super chill, I don't want to say normal, but I just wanted it to be embossed. I didn't want it to be colorful. I'm going to turn this one into an anniversary card because I needed a couple, so we're going to do 2 anniversary cards and 1 birthday card in this video. And I just left it. The other thing is I mess up here. I don't know where. I obviously figured out I messed up while I was filming the video, and then I was like, I'm gonna find where I messed up when I watch it back to edit it, and I cannot find it. I find where I messed up on this one. I messed up both these cards technically, but we'll talk about it when I get to putting them together. But this one I keep the wrong, when I cut a piece off, I keep the wrong piece and get rid of the right piece. But the white embossing one gets kind of wonky in a little bit, and I still can't figure out where I messed up. So you have been warned. It still looks great. It still comes out fine in the end. It's just not exactly what I was expecting / planning to have happen. And yeah. So anyway, all I'm doing is I'm cutting up these backgrounds into strips. This is one of my new favorite ways to make backgrounds, and this is a little bit different. I just did those ones not that long ago. It's been a couple months now, way back in January. I did those ones where I used the Lawn Fawn like stripe dyes. I forget what they're called. The stripy backgrounds. I think I called the video stripy backgrounds. I'm not sure what the Lawn Fawn actual dyes are called. But I did those, and then this is something I've just really been enjoying. But those ones I did kind of like I just mixed colors. I just did solid colors and mixed them together. This one I did more of like a pattern background, and I've just really been liking sort of taking whatever my like intended background is, and this sounds weird, and cutting it. I like to do strips, but you can like really cut it into any shape that you want. I think it like it still looks like the background is normal from far away, but then when you bring it close, it just sort of like adds a little something. I don't know. I've been enjoying it. I've been into it. So who knows how much more of that you're gonna see. I've been really enjoying just kind of like going back to basics lately, if you will, and like really playing with like the paper and stuff, and doing things that are seemingly easy, but I think add a lot. So my original plan with this embossed panel was that the picture was going to stay the same, but for some reason they just didn't line up, and I'll admit that was my fault. I didn't keep them in order when I cut them, and then I think I just couldn't figure it out, how to get them like back in the right order. I couldn't match up the pictures for whatever reason, and then just got annoyed and didn't want to match up the pictures anymore, and decided that actually it still looks really cool even though the flowers don't match up perfectly. And then I had some left over from the stenciled piece, so I just added that to the bottom, and I had originally cut based on what I thought my measurements were, but ended up being a little bit off, so I recut another one just to make it line up a little bit better. I must have cut one or two of the strips a little bit wide, and I ended up with a like tiny little bit of an extra on the end. So I just recut that really quick because I had more, so I could do it. And I thought that just added a little bit of a colorful sort of pop, because otherwise it's a very white card. But I'm going to turn it into an anniversary card, so I have happily ever after wishes here. And like I said, I did a very simple supply list for this one, mostly because I really wanted to get this video out the Monday after the live, if it was at all possible, which means that it is now, hold on, I will tell you in a second, that it is now 10:47 at night, and I'm trying to finish this up, so my plan is to go back and really add a supply list eventually. I also did not keep track very well of the supplies that I used on this one, I'm not going to lie to you guys. So as always, if you have questions, please let me know in the comments below, and I will add things in, but all I'm putting in the supply list is the kit, just so I can get this out to y'all in a timely manner. So I really wanted you to have it. I know I said I had a really busy week, and I wasn't sure if I'd get it out in a reasonable fashion, but I was so close to done with it today that I was like, I'm just gonna power through it, and I'm gonna get it done. So this is where I kind of got messed up on this one too. Same kind of thing. All of a sudden I got to the end and I was like, oh, the pictures don't line up. And I was like, that's weird. And then, like I said, I did catch myself when I watched this back to edit, that I did keep the wrong piece, and I just didn't notice, which is fine. It happens. And then, of course, I cut up that piece, so then I, like, couldn't even, like, dig it out of the garbage or anything because it didn't exist. I cut it. So I ended up deciding to do something kind of fun. And I actually do this on the next card, too, which is the last card for this video. But I kind of gave myself some uneven edges, if you will. I mean, you can see what I did. I don't have my borders perfectly even. I have the little bit bigger on the bottom. And this is another thing that I really like to do sometimes. Like, I feel like a lot of times we get very caught up in card making and stuff, or maybe this is just me, but like with everything being perfectly like straight and symmetrical and all of that. And sometimes it's fun to not do that. so I had some fun with playing with my borders this time and not making them perfect. And I actually really like it. I don't know. I think it just makes things a little more interesting, I guess. But I don't know if I can really explain like the how and the why of why I like it, but I don't know. I think it adds a little something. I don't think it has to be perfectly symmetrical all the way around all the time. And maybe that's just because I struggle with that, getting everything to be lined up perfectly. But I don't know. I like it. I like to mix it up a little bit, I guess. So I have used the Cheerful Flowers. That's definitely called Cheerful Flowers. The whole kit is called Cheerful Garden, but that set is definitely called Cheerful Flowers. And I used the Cheerful Flowers, and I was originally going to color this flower in, but I ended up deciding that I didn't want to do that. And because the background is so colorful, I was like, no, we're not going to color it in. We're going to just leave it black and white, because that is another thing that is kind of fun sometimes, is to just leave your images black and white. If you've ever done, I have a couple little kiddos in my life, and I haven't done this in a while because it's not as easy to send this as I used to be able to. But at one point, sometimes it's really fun if you have little kiddos in your life and you make them a card and you don't color it. Like, you just send them a black and white card and you tell them to color it, and they have fun with that. And you just like send them a little art project along with your card, and how cool is that? If I didn't have, I think I have all my kiddo birthday cards made this year already, because I like making kids' birthday cards a lot. So if I didn't, I maybe would have done that because some of the kiddos in my life are starting to get old enough where they could enjoy something like that even more, because it's been a while since I've had kids that in that age range in my life. But some of them are starting to get there, so I should revisit that. Maybe for some upcoming birthdays. I'm thinking up videos right now too, kind of with it, but that wouldn't be the most entertaining video to watch because it's pretty much just stamping. So I am sticking, and I also changed my plan on this card here. This like second card is just like the plan of the card of changed minds. That's what I'm trying to say. So I originally was going to put, this is part of the reason I left the bigger section at the bottom too, because I was originally going to put a greeting down there. And then I was just messing around and ended up with the die cut on top of the flower while I was just like getting things together. And ended up deciding I really liked it on top of the flower, so I left it there. Now we're going to do our last card of the night. Well, of the day. Well, no, you're watching this at night. My videos go up at 6 p.m. now, so you're watching this at night. And we're going to use the heart frame. This is one of the things that I was most excited about in this kit. This and the embossing folder were probably the things that I was like the most excited for. And this is a stencil and die set that's just like really kind of a cool concept, I think. I also did abandon my plan on this one too. I had a very different plan from what ended up happening. I shouldn't say very different. It's not that different, but so I'm going to start it, and I'm going to stencil all of my layers in, and the die set for this is very intricate, I will say that. So just be prepared that you may have to play a little bit with the with your shims and your sandwiches and your settings if you're on the intricate, like all that kind of stuff, because it is a little bit intricate. Mine cut halfway decent, not even half, more than halfway decent on the first try. I had just a few spots that didn't, I had like one little spot that didn't cut out super great, just because it didn't want to, I guess. I don't know, but it still came out most of the way. It was just like hanging on by like a little tiny bit. It was very easy when I finally got it out. I also did cut out of this video me taking out all of the little pieces, because nobody really wanted to watch that. I didn't want to watch it when I was editing, so I was pretty sure y'all wouldn't want to watch it either. so I did take that part out. But I just have one little section, and it's one of those things where it is kind of, I tend to have that issue with a lot of intricate dies in that spot, and I think it's just a weird spot in my intricate, or it's a weird spot on my plate, because the other one was definitely a plate issue. I could just tell from the way it was cut, because it got a weird line in it, so I'm pretty sure I just had a weird spot in my plate, because I am still rocking my original intricate plate, and it has seen better days. Well, you can see it right there. It has seen better days. Um, but it's still doing what it needs to do. And here I peeked first to make sure that it cut, because if it hadn't cut all the way through and I needed to run it through again, it's better to leave everything in place and then do that. But I ended up deciding that it seemed okay. And everything came out fine. You wouldn't even know I had those couple little trouble spots. So, all good. Um, this is what I mean by I was going to do something different. I didn't want to do this in white because I was like, it's going to get lost in the background because the background is white. Um, and I did it in white anyway. So, yeah. I wanted to do it in like pink or blue. Probably blue. It still looks good. I'm still happy with it. But I just wish I would have done the die cut in a color. And theoretically I could have ink blended it. This die set's not really that delicate. It would have survived an ink blending, most likely. Especially if I would have done it with like the paper pouncers instead of brushes. But I also didn't want to do that. so I didn't. I just left it white, and it's fine. It's you lose the detail a lot on camera, but in real life, it's just very, very subtle. And then was gonna put these little kitties inside that heart the entire time. That was always the plan for this card, but for some reason in the moment I almost didn't do it because I forgot I wanted to do it. And I was trying to find a greeting that would fit in there, and none of the greeting would fit in there. I'm sorry, you guys. It's late. I already told you that. And none of the greetings I wanted to put in there would fit in there. And that's when I remembered, oh wait, no, I wanted to put those little kitties in there. So I did that. I grabbed out, and then that's the last stamp set. This We Go Together stamp set is the last stamp set from the kit. So I accomplished my goal of using all the things in the kit. Like I said, with the exception of die sets, because that's a little bit of a gray area. But I used all the things in the kit. So yay. We love when I can do that. I don't usually get all of the kits from Gina K. My rule is usually I have to have an idea for everything that's in there before I will get it, with the exception of Christmas kits, because I can't resist a Christmas kit. I think there's been like one that I've missed in the last couple years, but for the most part I always get the Christmas kit. And then any other kit though, I have to have at least an idea for everything in there. So I was kind of excited that I was able to make that happen with this mega kit, because really it's a good deal. If, like I said, if you're seeing this in the next like week or so and the mega kit's still available, I highly recommend you get it that way rather than waiting if you think you want more than half the things in here. Because really you're paying for like trying to do math. 20, 40, 60, 80. Yeah, you're paying for like all of the stamp sets and one of the die sets, basically. If I did my math right, which don't quote me on that, because, like I said, it's late and I shouldn't be doing math at 11 o'clock at night. That's just a disaster. Anyway, so I want to take a minute too to talk about my next live stream in March, in case you didn't see the live stream last week. I'm doing something a little bit different in March, and there's a reason I'm choosing to talk about this right now. So I was coloring these in, and my markers are in awful shape, and I really need to get them sorted, and I have a million other craft room tasks that I need to do. I need to restock my card bases, because you saw me make card bases in this video. I never make card bases. I always have them ready. I just don't have any right now. I have a pile of markers. Like, all my go-to Copic markers are basically out of commission right now, which is fine in some ways because it's forcing me to use colors I don't usually use. But it's also really annoying because all my go-to colors are empty or out of commission or need a little help. I don't even think I have refills for all of them. But I don't even know what refills I need at this point. I always keep cardstock panels around. That is depleted. Um, I've got a million things to label and do all that kind of stuff with and put away. And these are all things that I just keep putting off. So I don't know if anyone else out there is like that. I'm sure you are. I can't be alone on that one. So we're gonna have a little body double stream next month. I also have a dance competition the same week as the live. So I just don't know how I'm gonna be feeling. It's my first competition ever, so I don't know what to expect. I don't know what's gonna happen. And so I'm trying to play it a little bit safe with with that live. So if you have anything that you need to get done in your craft room, whether it's labeling, organizing, destashing, cleaning your brushes, um, I don't know what I should look at my list and see what else I have on there, but or doing your Copic markers if you need to refill them or change nibs out or anything like that, bring that with you to that live, and we're just gonna chat and get stuff done. That's it. That's an hour and a half, an hour probably. I probably will try to keep that one to just an hour, and we're just gonna hang out and get stuff done. I'm also probably gonna do one of those in May because I was looking at my competition schedule because it's March through May is pretty much my competition season, and I think the May one too, looking at when that one is scheduled, I might do the same thing. But we'll see how this first one goes first in March, and then yeah, we'll see from there. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. I will see you again soon, and have a crafty day.